Second. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Uh, hello from sunny Glastonbury. Hello, hello. It's a pleasure to see you all. It really is. And the non-dual relief in us greets the non-dual relief in you. It's a relief to see you all. Can you hear me well? Yes, good. Okay, so this evening we're going to look at this quality of non-dual relief, which at first might not seem to be a quality, but isn't that always the case? In a sense, everything is non-dual anyway, otherwise non-duality wouldn't mean anything, but a quality of true nature, a quality of consciousness. And one thing we can say about conscious awakening, that moment when there is this awakening to our consciousness here, irrespective of the content of what we experience, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our moods, our situation, our relationships, our status, irrespective of all of that, when we realize that in these miraculous moments that we are conscious, alive here, now, there is always this sense of relief, release and relief. In a way, because consciousness is like a chariot that can move us back to a deeper dimension of what is of essential value in being alive, where there's not where we're not possessed and controlled by restrictions on times and space and limitations on the forms that we can imagine ourselves to be, but rather there is something unlimited, boundless, timeless. And always when we move from structures of limitation and restriction and rigidity and contraction into dimensions of spaciousness and timelessness, meaning there's all the space and all the time to be sentient, alive. There's always an incredible relief. So it's part of it. It's a vibration. It's a vibration at the junction between form and formlessness, between being bound in a body, in a mind, in an idea, in an ideology, in a culture, in a software of suffering, and being boundless, between being constricted into an identity of having a certain age and being stuck within a certain generation or epoch. The world right now is in trouble. Well, whoopee-doo, we say as we lean backwards into this dimension of consciousness where there is something timeless, which is here, irrespective of whether the world is having a age of Aquarius enlightenment, or whether it's in deep trouble, or whether it's going to war, or whether it's going to peace, or whether it's learning this way or learning that way, whether we're up or whether we're down, whether it's our heaven or another person's hell. There's this dimension of relief where there is something which is behind the uniqueness of every experience, something universal, which is at the core of what we are, outside of time, outside of space. Now we know this. We've done so many exercises, meditations, explorations. We've discovered so much of our timeless nature. That it's the same one here that was here 20 years ago. Behind it all, it's just this body kind of all started to drop down towards the floor and expand in all the wrong places, but it's the same one having behind the experience. It's the same one that will be here, even if the mind is slowly dismantling in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years' time, hobbling along. It's going to be the same one. Same one here, as will be there, as was there, the timeless one. And we know this timeless aspect of ourselves, the timeless one. And we know the boundless one. We know this one which can expand its awareness to the horizons, into the sky, to the distance, and which can also move and listen very, 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 very intimately close to home. This consciousness can move freely through space, that can expand and that can contract. Otherwise, how could we even be born if we couldn't contract and expand? So we know these ones, but we forget, partly because there is some kind of substance that we come into together with the biochemistry of a 21st century human body, which is connected with the suffering of time and the restrictions of space, something which clouds our feeling of freedom of heart, something a little bit dense, which feels bad, which feels almost happy, but not quite and not really, a kind of miserable substance in the here and now. Something which the mind can't quite fathom because it must have a reason to be there, this feeling of closure or badness, or not quite being available to live without tweaking and censorship and alteration. Something which makes our mood feel a little bit heavy sometimes, often. Something which, strangely enough, when we wake up from oblivion, having had a wonderful night's sleep, gone, and we wake up, sometimes in the morning it feels like we don't want to be here at all. It's like we're coming from a fast vibration and something's slowing down, and it's like we wake up and we're rejuvenated, then we remember where we are, what we are, and we come into the forms of feeling, and it feels like a drag to be alive. So what is this substance which is not there in deep sleep, which is not there in moments of pure joy or moments of pure experience, when we smell a flower in nature and dissolve completely into the smell? It's not there. When we taste the chocolate that we haven't had since childhood and we completely let ourselves melt into that experience, the timeless taste of it, this one's not there, but it comes back again between this and that. So this substance is a kind of traumatic residue of old trauma, maybe from the generations accumulated after, lifetime after lifetime of domestic slavery. Doesn't matter which gender you are, of all the 300 genders that there are, and there can be more, trust me. Something of the old suffering or shock of what it feels like sometimes to have an open heart and to meet cruelty or to meet rejection and to meet the failure to really be able to keep each other safe from the inevitable suffering and the inevitable death and the inevitable destruction that comes just as surely as there is the creation of life. So this substance is there. And if we were to name it, we could call it regret. Because regret kind of makes sense of it. It gives us some agency. But what is regret? It's not guilt. Guilt is its own thing. If you're guilty, you're never going to be innocent. There's no way back from guilt. You're guilty, you did something, you murdered somebody, that's it for eternity. Guilt is one hell of a dead-end street. But regret, because it's not guilt, is connected with the sadness of suffering. The sadness that the suffering went like that. The regret that we couldn't make it more better than we could. The regret that we couldn't change it. The regret that there was suffering. In a way, it's like saying, I'm so sorry that there has been this pain. It doesn't matter if that pain has been with us or whether it's been with somebody else or whether it's been with the world. We can always regret the suffering which is here, has been here. But so often, because regret gets confused with guilt, and it's so difficult to feel condemned, bad as opposed to good, meaning rejected, worthless, unclubbable. So often, because of that, we don't let ourselves feel this sadness. I'm so sorry that it went like that. I'm so sorry that there had to be this suffering, that there has been this suffering. I'm so sorry for my part in this suffering. It's not like the sorry or the regret comes from a distant place up a tree. We're all involved. And to regret it is to honor it, is to acknowledge it. But when that regret's not really allowed to be there, so often this feeling remains, this feeling of unresolved sadness or unfinished agency, this feeling that we could have done something to stop it happening. Rather than just allowing that the suffering is here, it starts to build as a thing that we should have been able to stop it. You see, the infiltration of guilt here, this kind of infiltration of a self-condemnation, and it's not resolved because the true sadness of the pain which has been, and the pain which is, and the pain which could be, isn't allowed to be here. We want only the good bits, not this sadness. So in that lack of resolution, that lack of, in this moment, being able to open the heart in helplessness and allow the pain which is here, there is then this projection of the unresolved sadness, this unresolved regret onto the future. And this can show up as worry. You see how time-based it is? What happened to the timeless one? So now, what we've got is an unresolved regret from the past, something we regret but haven't been able to resolve or liberate from guilt or just allow the sadness or the grief of what's been there, is now projecting itself onto the future, not as resilience, but as worry. Almost with a kind of hocus pocus, that if we don't worry about it, it will happen. You see, also the unresolved agency is there. There was helplessness. We weren't able to change the thing in the past. And this is now transposing into worry towards the future with a kind of neurosis, a kind of superstition that says, if I worry about it, then it's not going to happen. Now, I don't know who made that up. But it kind of makes sense if you think, okay, I'm giving myself agency because I need to feel I have some agency in this ocean of suffering because I'm unable to contain it. So I need to somehow find some way to control it. So from a place of magical thinking, it kind of makes sense that if I worry about it, then it won't happen. But it becomes a spiral. It becomes a kind of neurotic thing of like worrying, 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 because so many things could happen. Every horror from the past that we've ever experienced or allowed the vibration of it is equally able to manifest in the future. And if we put ourselves with agency at the center of it and say, okay, I have to worry about all of this, it's almost like it's an endless supply. Or else we will regret. You see the threat that's in the backwards. If I don't worry about my child, something will happen to my child, and then I will have to regret. But where did that worry come from? That particular worry rather than any other worry. It's rooted in the past. And this worrying again, now we got a future-based suffering, which can become so extreme that we can even find ourselves worrying because we have nothing to worry about. Worrying about what to worry about. Because it feels so vulnerable to stop peddling the pain from the past into terms of preventing it from the future, as if this was resilience, as if this was the secret. It's very post-traumatic, even if it's trauma from the generations. This is something which we're all partly carrying. We've been trained to do this. So much so that to worry is to take care. It's made synonymous. Guilt is care. Worry is care. Regret, loser. It's almost like surrender, defeat. So this is a very interesting duality, which is taking suffering in the here and now, which is the only place that experience can exist. Suffering, which is here now, together with joy, happiness, movement, infinite possibility. Taking suffering, which is here and now, and rather than allowing it in order for it to tell its tale, which is rooted in the past, is churning it around and projecting it onto the future in order not to regret later the thing that happened in the future. You see what a time wobble this is? It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We better worry about the future, otherwise in the future of the future, we might regret it. And like this, we become enslaved to time. And not a beautiful kind of time, not the preciousness of each moment, not the miracle of each second that we're alive to experience all that is here. We become enslaved to a particular kind of shit smearing through the wheel, through the wheel, through the wheel of time, taking the trouble from the past, not wanting to face it, and throwing it onto the blank page of the future. Warning our children about it, warning our friends about it, smearing it and smearing it and smearing it. We can see how this is working through the collective. How many people are calling other people Nazis right now in order to prevent Nazism? What is that? What did we leave undone, ungrieved? What did we disallow inside all of our experience from the past that we would feel the need to recycle such horror into the future? So as you can see, this is quite a task, this time-based, endless wheel of suffering, this hell loop, individually, collectively. And this is before we even begin to dictate to each other what we should worry about, what we need to regret, what we don't need to regret, what we should worry about, what we don't need to worry about, where we begin a battle of worries and call it leadership or politics. So something is needed here. Something is needed which looks more like a dimensional shift out of this time-based psychology into the field of direct experience, where we are able to move to that, the timeless aspect of ourselves, which is able to experience time. How else could we experience past, present, and future without being timeless as the one which is experiencing it? Time exists within the container of timelessness, which we are. It asks for a shift to the boundless, deeper dimension of ourselves, the unlimited, spacious dimension of ourselves, through which any contraction is allowed to take space. Any form can take form, transform, reform, perform, deform, because we are sourced in something which is boundless, limitless, unbounded, spacious. And this is the dimension of true nature. And this is why the quality of relief, just that vibration, is on the pathway out of the bounded, constricted, limited form of suffering, the pathway out of that inwards or outwards to a unlimited space, is punctured with the vibration of relief. It has the perfume of relief along it, meaning if we blend with the vibration of relief, how it feels to experience relief, each one of us in our own unique way, how the body recognizes the relief, what the body's longing for as relief, what the mind is needing, what will bring the mind relief, what the thoughts are waiting for or arguing about, performing for. What is it all about? Where is the relief? And I don't mean that as a question of despair. I mean that as a question of imagination. Where would be the relief for our minds? What would give our minds, our thinking, our imagination a sense of relief? See, immediately we get a feeling of open sky. What would give a heart a sense of relief? That place of regret, that place of stormy clouds, of worry, that broody place where we keep all of our fears and there's a kind of background stagnation because tomorrow is for sure going to happen. What would give that relief? And what would relief feel like in the heart? What's that vibration of relief in those moments in our life when we maybe were under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure? Maybe we were desperately afraid we were going to fail at an exam. And then we didn't fail. Just pick a subject. And there's a relief. How does it feel? How does it feel in the blood? What's happening to the system? What's happening to the body? Can we recognize the unique sense of our own essence within that, our own presence, our own particular sense of relief in that? Because it's got a particular vibration from one person to another, but still it's a pathway to the formless, to the real resource, the real, true resilience. Now, when we can let this live inside of us, turning everything around, not waiting for the relief to come tomorrow after tomorrow after tomorrow after tomorrow after tomorrow after we make amends, compensate, prepare, defend, protect, warn, worry. No, we give it to it ourselves immediately, before, behind, irrespective of all that worrying and regretting. Let ourselves lean back within a dimension of instant, immediate, boundless, timeless relief. And live a little bit from there. And what we can notice is that there is immediately a kind of resilience that comes forward. There's a possibility of clarity of mind. There's the possibility of much more noticing those moments of joy, of happiness, of love, of care. Maybe care that we were blinded to, that we are cared for, that we are loved, that it's really okay. Maybe the body begins to learn that you can relax in a battlefield, that actually it makes more sense to be calm, relaxed and open and still when there's trouble, inside or outside ourselves, than to run around like a chicken with its head cut off. That actually there's more safety in there, there's more agency in there. And from that place, it's possible to bring that relief to others. So maybe we regret the pain or the harm that was done through us to another human being in the past. And maybe there's nothing we can do to undo that pain, that suffering. But when we bring, for example, the quality of relief to that field of experience, we're not only bringing relief from our own sense of suffering in being a perpetrator of harm, we're also bringing relief to the other. We're bringing relief, maybe, even to that moment in the past. We're becoming online again. We're connecting. We're able to allow the suffering that is there, even though we might have caused it. Now, it's a double cruelty, you see. If we do a harm to another person and then we have to disconnect from the other person because we harm them, then we harm them a second time. And then we have to worry about not harming other random people for the rest of our lives because we never got to find peace with the harm that was originally there, the harm on the harm on the harm. It goes on. And then now we're projecting, we have a new best friend and we start telling them, oh my God, I'm really afraid I'm going to harm you. So we're putting the harm already into a new relationship, into a new beginning. And so this thing never ends. But if we can introduce the quality of relief at any moment, at any doorway, we are timeless. We are boundless. If we can walk through that doorway and together with the experience, allow the vibration of relief to be there, we are also bringing relief to our original friend, to ourselves in the past, to ourselves in the present, to ourselves in the future, to our friends of the future, and to this whole field of gunk, which is regret and worry, misery in the heart, which is clouding us collectively. It's saying, I can breathe. I can be here. We can breathe. We can be here. We can connect. We can be here together because such a space opens up and the timeless dimension opens up in which another kind of project is happening. Something so interesting, so yummy, so precious, so worthwhile with so much value that regret itself begins to transform and sat into a kind of beauty. Sadness starts to transform into a kind of majesty of transformation through the depth of feeling. Everything starts to come to life in a different way with a greater depth. Everything begins to feel more worthwhile. And the experience of regret and worry loses its grip over our minds and our hearts and our body. This addiction begins to fade because it's no longer so compelling. It doesn't anymore, it's not anymore able to promise us this bad baggage of goods that it's going to somehow free us from suffering. Rather, what we're doing is we're taking the space to be able to breathe through and to show up for suffering where it is here and to invest in that area which is suffering and to bring light to where there is resource, where there is joy, where there is possibility. All the unborn possibilities which are there in the future and all the unborn possibilities which are also there in the past because we're timeless, because there is always this relief. Now, leaf. I think leaf in Dutch means love, doesn't it? At least in Old English, leaf means love. So relief is to return to love. And if I'm wrong, then I don't care because that's what it is. Okay, we leave it like that and then we take a 5-minute break and we will have some relieving meditation.
Hi, welcome everybody. We are back for the guided meditation. Yay. So, if you could find a place where you're comfortable, where you feel that your body is supported, and just take some time just to feel your body, how your body is supported, where your body is supported. And if you could connect with your breathing and just follow your breathing in and out. And following your breathing in and out, I'd like you to bring your consciousness to the pauses in your breathing between the in and the out breath and the out and the in breath. And just kind of feel, experience which pause is the most comfortable for you right now. The pause between the in and the out breath, or the pause between the out and the in breath. And maybe you can make this pause a little bit longer. And connect with the atmosphere in this pause, the feeling of this pause. And let yourself blend with that. Your conscious awareness blend with the atmosphere of the pulse of your choice. And maybe it's possible to expand this atmosphere through your whole breathing. Maybe it's possible to expand this atmosphere through your whole breathing. Then I'd like you to regress back while you at the same time still are aware of your breathing, to regress back to a moment in your life that you felt relief. We are regressing back to a moment in our lives that we felt relief. And try to attune to this feeling, to attune to this experience of relief. And in connection with this sense of relief, we take a deep in breath and we breathe out with the sense of relief, connected with the sense of relief. And again, we take a deep in breath and we breathe out with the sense of relief, connected with the sense of relief. And again, we are breathing deeply in and we exhale in connection with the sense of relief. And again, we breathing deeply in and we exhale with the sense of relief. And then we connect with our shoulders and our head. We connect with the whole area of our shoulders and our head. And at the same time, we follow our breathing in and out. And then we take a deep in breath while connecting with the shoulders and the head. And again, we exhale with the sense of relief. And again, we take a deep in breath and we are aware of our shoulders and our head. And we exhale with the sense of relief. And again, we connect with our shoulders and our head. We take a deep inhalation and we exhale with the sense of relief. And once more, We take a deep in breath and we are connected with the shoulders and the head. And we exhale with the sense of relief. And then we just take some time to be conscious of the head and the shoulders. And to allow whatever is there to be. And then we bring our conscious awareness to our chest area. And we are following our breathing in and out again. While we are conscious of the chest area, we take a deep in breath and we breathe out with the sense of relief. And again, while our conscious awareness is in the chest area with the chest area, we take a deep in breath and we exhale with the sense of relief. Again, while we're conscious of our chest area, our conscious awareness is with the chest area. We are breathing deeply in and we are breathing out with the sense of relief. And we stay with our conscious awareness in the chest area, just following our breathing. And we inhale deeply and exhale with the sense of relief. And once again, we are breathing deeply in while our conscious awareness is in the chest area. We exhale with the sense of relief. And then we stay with our conscious awareness in the chest area. And we allow whatever comes forward to come forward. And then we connect with the whole physical body. We connect with the whole physical body. We bring our conscious awareness to the whole physical body. And we are following our breathing in and out. And while we are conscious aware of the whole physical body, we take a deep in breath and we exhale with the sense of relief. And again, while our conscious awareness is with the whole physical body, we take a deep in breath and we breathe out with the sense of relief. And then we follow our breathing in and out again, being aware of the whole physical body. And then we breathe deeply in again, and being aware of the whole physical body, we breathe out with the sense of relief. And one more time, being aware of the whole physical body, we deeply take an in breath and we breathe out with the sense of relief. And then we just stay with our conscious awareness in the whole physical body and just allow to happen whatever needs to happen. And I'd like you to reconnect with the sense of relief and just Imagine that this sense of relief is expanding to all the cells of the body. The sense of relief is expanding to all the cells of the body. Okay, it's time to say goodbye to the people on the live stream. Thank you for being here and joining us, and we hope to experience you next week again. And have a wonderful, wonderful week. And we take a 5-minute